Hello and welcome to this extensive video on Hair Strand Designer. It's now at version 1.271 and I've created a few little extra features since the last version. So one of those features is the auto load and auto save, which will happen when you generate. It's going to auto save, and if there's a crash, which there is a deliberate crash in place, if it loses stability it will shut down. But all you have to do is reopen and press F11 to load back your previous settings. So I've added documentation here as well, so you can download that to see how everything works at the current state. Also support the AO map and flow map now. There's the ability to add your own seed value. Spacebar will create randomization, and there's this new icon system for if your maps are enabled or disabled and generated and exportable. There's a little disclaimer at the start appears, which I'll show you in a second, about not saving to the same folder as the application, because it will move your files basically to app data local, and that's something that just cropped up because I developed the tool in Game Maker Studio and it sandboxes a lot of its save files. So when you save locally, it's assuming that you're trying to save the deeper root of your app data. So it's a good idea just to create a folder on your desktop or in your working folder outside of the application and save your files there. That way you won't see that issue. So let's get into it. I've just downloaded version 1.271. So I'm just going to extract all to the same folder. Okay, so we boot it up, and the first thing we're going to see is the intro, obviously, but we're in windowed mode, and I've created this message. Due to the nature of this software, moving away from maximizing or minimizing the screen will cause the application to close. If this happens, reload the application and press F11 to restore your previous settings, then press generate to remake your strands. Pressing F12 or generate acts as a quick save. It will crash on purpose to avoid bad quick saves. This is a feature, not a bug. So I say it avoids bad quick save. It's basically when it gets unstable, it tends to lose focus of the textures, and I don't want you to be changing things and clicking generate again, because that will obviously save some of the bad bugs that have inherited, like the texture memory is gone and things. So you just press enter to proceed here. That's just my little disclaimer, and you see from the start you've got this already generated and the color map already generated. As soon as you start moving like these sliders around, you get the live update with a limitation of a maximum of 6 strands per set. And for some reason you're not seeing the preview there, but anyway, I'll fix that later. So there's a limit of 6 strands per set, just to give you an idea of what you're going to get. It's a preview, right? It's not exact. So with these now grayed out, what happens is as soon as you start to tweak things like the color and things like that, the generator knows that these are now old, and it will tell you color map not currently generated or settings have changed. So that's what's happening there. You've got this, the real-time version is roughly what you're going to get. So as soon as I generate here, I'm going to get 11, 9, 7, 5, 3, and 1. And that's the generated map here. So you can see they're a little bit different, right? But in terms of the algorithm, they're doing the same thing. Your RGB mask for your variation, your root, and your tip, and that's basically what your color is. It's taking these colors and doing things. I've added in the ability to add a background color. I've also added in the ability to post-process some blurring. So if I generate again with this blue background, and I've kind of zoomed in here, I'm going to put the blur up to a high value first, so at 1, and then you click this apply blur, and you can see it's blurred it up a bit. I'll do it quite a few times so you can see it obviously in the video, and you can see it's kind of mixed a little bit with the backdrop. And that's good if you want to sort of make your hair texture is a little bit more noisy and things, and even a bit more softer in some cases, but you can see they start to blend into each other. And if I generate a mask map here and switch between, you can see that the mask map's nice and clear, so you might want to even add a little blur to that. The normal map. Another good optimization that I've added is the fact that if it's already generated these maps and you've not made changes, it's just going to ignore them and not try and regenerate them all again. So that's a nice optimization feature. ID map. So if I switch ID map on, this is what you should look at with ID mode. So sets basically generates colors per set, and then strands generates colors per strand. In changing this value, it has basically asked me to regenerate these maps, and that might not be necessary, but I'll look at that in the future. Another little optimization that I could add. So let's add more waviness, a bit more spacing. Reduction I'll just leave, a bit more tapering, maybe some variation. So if you press space, you can shuffle up this randomization seed, and that just gives you something more unique, so that if it's at 0, you're basically working in the most simplest sort of way, right? You just not really bothered about shuffling it more, because variation already gives you a little bit of randomness, plus you're adding, you know, different values here. But just to avoid having exactly the same hairs coincidentally as someone else, which is probably a really rare occurrence, right? You can just press space and then that shuffles this number up. If you're generating, so it tells you here, make changes made, please regenerate before export. Take a note of the seed number before generating. So if you're going to generate now, take a note of this number, because this is pretty unique to you, and it doesn't always come back with the quick save. So if I generate now, right, and I close the application and I go back in, because when you click that generate, it does an auto save, right? And this is just my quick way around. Press enter first here, by the way, press enter first, then press F11. Right, and hopefully it's loaded everything back in, but it's just not loaded the random seed value back in. So if I try like toggle these and do another generate, right, you'll see that these are going to look different now. So I do a generate again. Oh no, they stayed. They did stay. So this seed value is actually false, and it did actually use the same value, I think, or maybe it's used 0 and it's different from when it booted up. Anyway, so it brings back a lot of everything now. If it crashes out, because it will crash if you do something like move this screen around, not too much, but if you make it go full screen, like to the top, or you minimize it, it loses stability of the texture memory, and that's something that I can't control. It's something that, again, Game Maker Studio does internally. If the screen size changes, then it will crash out. So you see there, I tried to resize it, and it crashed out. But luckily enough, I put in a little fail-safe mechanism that just open this up again. If that happens, just go back in, press enter to get rid of that, and then press F11, and hopefully, fingers crossed, you've got everything back again. Okay, and if you do have a particular seed number preference, you can press F1, type in your seed value, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right, and then click that. Now, it's not, this is something I also need to fix, it's not grayed these out to say regenerate, so I'm just going to toggle them manually, so I can force it to regenerate these. In fact, let's do them all. Right, I'll go generate. So it's going to base it on this number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, with the settings that I've saved. And there we go, I've got my ale map, a flow map, and this is a red-green channel-based flow map. If I want a different map, let's see, I'll just toggle this so it generates it again. I'll do a blue version and generate. Because I changed this, these have all changed, so I will make it more optimized, I promise, but these things are just cropping up for me as well, and they'd be nice to optimize in the long run, but otherwise it's pretty fast, right? So your mask, normal map, everything's here. So the flow map is now blue channel based. I can flip Y. Again, it's cleared everything, but that's okay. Doesn't take long to generate. Okay, and that's now that. Using, so I can do flip X as well. Let me just turn these ones off, so we're just doing flow map. You can also see that you can disable the RGB mask now if you don't need it. Initially I had that like always enabled, but we've got the preview now, so that's good. And there we go, there's a flow map there. I've also added this extra thing called hue, and hue basically overrides all these. What it does is it just changes the color based on direction. So you imagine a 360-degree wheel that does the full spectrum, right? It goes, you know, through the rainbow, through the hues. So that's what hue based is, and I don't know, it might be useful. You get a bit more of a break from each color with it, but it's just something I thought I'd throw in there. It's good for maybe rainbow hair or something as well. You can shift the hue of this and you'll get nice rainbow hair. And let's see, so that's all good. Try to think of what else is new. So when you generate again, everything should save, including the maps, which was kind of an unexpected surprise that it actually saved the maps as well. So as long as you don't change these, like if I do this and I save by pressing F12, maybe avoid pressing F12, because it's actually nice that it's the saves built into generate. Because alright, you might want to save the settings, right? Save the settings, so I might do F12 here. I only want the settings, I don't want it to save the maps, but I think it actually does. I think it saves the state of everything, including the maps. That's why it takes a little bit of time to load. So I'm just going to check that now. Okay, because some of these things, the different recipes of inputs that I throw in sometimes results in different stuff. Alright, so that's good because it's only gave me the previous color map, the previous RGB, and it loaded really quick, right? So it's gave me my settings back. Again, not the random seed, because I must be overriding this somewhere in sort of runtime instead of just, you know, the initial. So I'll need to iron out a few tiny little cracks now. I'm quite happy how stable it is, and stable in the sense that it's a controlled stable, right? I can sort of move this screen around, so you can move it to the side, but just don't full screen it and don't minimize it. If you do pop to another application and back, there's a good chance it might crash as well, and that did happen more often when it was the full screen mode, so I reverted back to windowed mode for that reason. So once again, just enable your maps. If they're not red, they'll get enabled. You got this hue mode here, strands and sets for your ID. You got all these kind of automatic sliders, and I just crashed it because I went full screen. So I'm just going to leave leave the screen alone, right? Press enter. Just leave it as it is. If you prefer the full screen version, I'll probably make a full screen build just in case you like that. The problem was when you were exporting maps that it tended to not show see, it's not showing it here actually. No, it is, but it's taken a while. Let's try that again. Oh, yeah, I just need to Alt Tab. There we go. So sometimes when you clicked that when it was full screen, it would not show you this panel, and you kind of had to try and find it. So that was a bit of a pain. This is the big issue, is people are saving to this folder, and I don't blame you. I would have done it. In fact, I did it many times at the start. If I try and save here, so if I save this map, right, and it pops up to save the next map, where's that first one, right? It's actually in app data, so that's where that's gone. If you're looking for your maps and you've accidentally saved them here, they've gone to app data local folder, and Hair Strand Designer, it's actually made a folder for you as well, and that's just something that's built in because it thinks it's sandboxing the program. It thinks it's like on a mobile device or something. It's saving it locally. So you can do desktop, and then I'll just call that. Yeah, so that's now on the desktop. At least it's asking for a project file. Really? It's asking for the project file, but I've never thought I'd enabled this just yet. So it's asking for that, but that's not actually ready yet. But you can check that out because I've just been mucking about with some hex code stuff. Where was that? HST. Yeah. Oh yeah. Is this an older version or something? No. That's fine. I've been working on converting hex to decimal and decimal to hex, so I've got that working. It's a little internal converter that I can use not only for the hex code feature here that I'm going to bring in, but also for storing a lot of the color values as hex codes, so they're easier to read. Because yeah, it's just easy to read. You know, six letters. You know that each pairs R, then G, then B, right? That kind of thing. So I don't know what else to ramble on about. You know about the absolute length distances. So as soon as you've got these set up, again, maximum 6 per set here. I've lost actually the text. Maybe I've changed it to black. No, I've just lost that text there. I don't know why. But there used to be text there that said maximum number of sets is 6. I think it's just not setting the color back after background. If I was to put these lens to their max, which is 3800. So you can do the overrides here. That's basically what I'm saying. And change the lengths, and then counts as well. You can go for like 50. I think I've maxed these out at 200, but 200 is probably still too much. If you do go high with your strand counts, you're going to want to be careful to do all these at the same time, because it gets quite memory heavy. So you can do them in batches. So like, now I can't see the bottom of it. I'm going to lose stability. So I don't want to full screen it. I just want it to sit up there. Okay, that's a little bit annoying. So that's why I did do full screen, because I want to see the number of strands. Let's move that to the side. There we go, 383. And did that crash it? That actually crashed it as well. So any sort of interference from other applications will crash it. And I lost my settings there because I never saved it, and I don't think it would have saved manually. Let me just move this back. Yep. So one more downloads. I'm going to pin this here. I think I will make a full screen version, because for me it's fine. And you get to see the set at the bottom, and if you full screen it here, you know, it doesn't crash. Yeah, so it loses stability and crashes. That's unfortunate. What I want to do is move this to the side first, then I'll open it. Right, that's a little better. I don't need this right hand side. Okay, so enter. There we go. I can see the number of strands here, so I could do like 200, 100, 50, 10, 5, 3, 2, and 1. Right, so I'll get lots of different grades or bunches. I'll leave them all at the full length. In fact, I can go higher because it uses a length of 3500 to generate. I might actually change that so it uses the 3800. It's just in case the variation pushes it further, but that seems to be okay. So you can get that to taper a bit. It does only show 6 as a maximum, but I might raise that. I might bring that up to like 10 because it seems to be pretty good performance. Right, and then I'm going to generate depth AO. Right, I'll do 4. I'm going to do 4 at a time, generate those. So it's now effectively saved it as well. I think it saves it after it's generated. So if it crashes out, and it will only crash out if there's instability in the screen or you switch to and from. So yeah, generating those. The AO map takes the longest because it does several passes. I think it does 6 passes. So it draws the strands like 6 times to get a nice result. So you get this kind of darkness, darker area, and you can add the blur to that. So now apply a little bit of blur. So that smoothens it out. That's quite nice. So you don't have to do that in Photoshop, although it's quite nice in Photoshop. My blur algorithm's not the best at the minute, but I'll look into that. The depth map's done. So I can go ahead and export these. Again, find a different folder. So just this new folder, RGB mask. I'll do, what's the date? 16th, 17th. So I'll do 17. 17. You can also export each map individually if you wanted. So by clicking this, but using the export all maps one by one is kind of efficient, right? And then it's asking for the HSD project as well, so that's nice. I like that because eventually when I've got it saved in the project, that will work. That's not actually meant to be there at the minute, guys, so don't go using it. You can see here I've hit the edge of the texture. It's no biggie, but if I'm making my hair cards, I don't want to go past the UV space. Alright, it'll only read black at the top if it leaks through, right? But that's not good that it's 3800. So I'm actually right to keep it 3500 internally, so I'll leave that as well. So I've done these 4. Let's do that, these 2 and that, right? And then I'll do the other 4. And that's just good for stability side. Again, if it does too much memory intensive stuff, you get memory leaks as well, and it'll crash. It'll do a memory crash, like a 3D memory crash thing. So yeah, just be wary of that, right? So these are now old, right? This AO map's old, but it's okay. It's not highlight, it's not green, so it's not going to export. I've got no export button for those anyway, so forget those. This is the flow map, and obviously it's not got the blue channel through it, so that's just the basic flow map. The depth map, I can maybe blur up the depth map. So you do the blurring just before you export. In fact, that's the old depth map. I don't want to see that. I should put a big red sort of screen in front of it or something. That would be nice. ID map set based. Yeah, no big deal. I'd probably, in fact, I'm going to regenerate that as strand based and go for that. I prefer the strands to be separated. That way I can add like freak colors quite easily. So I could take like all the greens, the ID of the greens, and then sort of tone them up over the color map, or a couple. So like you see here, I could maybe like magic wand all these greens in Photoshop and then go back to the color map and then sort of change those tones a bit, and that way I can get some freak hairs, right? Mask map, normal map. Normal map, I'll add a little bit of blur. See, it's not the best blur at all. I'd rather use, if you go into Photoshop and use the oil paint filter, you might have to enable your accelerated graphics settings in Photoshop to enable it. But it does a great job of just like knowing the direction of this stuff and smoothing it out, whereas this is a kind of hacked up Gaussian blur that I found on Game Maker's freebie shader stuff, and I might be able to do a better job of it if I look into the shader side, but no rush for that, I'm sure, because everybody will be processing these maps in Photoshop anyway. You'll be exporting to Photoshop and working on them. So I'm going to export these 4 now. That's what I'm saying. So 17. I don't believe it asks for the HSD project. That's It shouldn't actually be there. Here we go. Wish to overwrite. Yes, it's just going to be exactly the same value in there, and it's just one. That was just that little hex test that I was doing. That's basically converting the hex code to decimal. That's what you see in this FFFFFF. Right. That's what that save file is if you ever look at it. But yeah, I should get rid of that for the little tweak update, which I'll do today. Otherwise, everything seems to be working, and I hope that anybody who uses this is able to do a little kind of coverage YouTube video on it to help sort of spread the word a bit as it develops. It's getting gradually better, and I've got loads I want to add. Yeah, you got your thicknesses here as well if you want to get really kind of stylish with the hair. Yeah, you can move these around. You can bring them all like to one big bunch if you wanted. You know, you could render a few of these out and then construct your own texture after it. It's just a case of like making sure you move all the maps to the correct place. I guess you could do that in groups and stuff. Yeah, so I'm gonna do a few little changes, and then I'll push another little update today, version 1.272 likely, and I'll also do a full screen build just in case you prefer it, because you don't have to like do this, right? Move your side panel around and then boom, lost it, right? But let's go back in and press F11. Press enter first because it won't work until you press enter to get rid of that little disclaimer. It takes a while to load. It doesn't show you it's loading, but you can't click on anything, so that's good. You're like, okay, is it loading? Yeah, it must be loading big bad textures as well as all the settings that you had last time. There you go. It has loaded them in with a different seed value by the looks of it. So that is, has it actually? Because I remember these 4 streaks. Maybe it looks like it has, but I could be wrong. Also, that column is even loaded in like, no, it's not loaded those in. They're the ones that came with it. But I'm going to put a big red cover over these as well. I'm going to fix a few things now, minor things. Okay, thanks for watching everyone. This has been the longest video to do with Hair Strand Designer because I'm more comfortable talking about it. Hopefully you've watched it right through and you understand a lot of these things. Oh yeah, the coverage thing is kind of, hopefully it's self-explanatory. This is the amount of root tone coverage of the hair, and this is the amount of tip tone coverage. You'll see it, you know, a lot of things are self-explanatory because you see them now in the updater. But I've obviously got the little display message to fix here and some other things. So I'll work on that, and that's no biggie. And I'm progressively working through the project save, so it shouldn't actually be asking you if you want to save that. That's a little bit that I missed. Otherwise, everything's cool, and I hope you enjoy using it. I'd love to see anybody who's made a full-blown hair wig with it. I know 1 or 2 people are using it, and it's even getting taught in some game studio sort of area as like a learning tool. So yeah, so all is good. I'll keep working on it. I'm going to be busy in the next few weeks with that, and then I'll probably be landing on a full-time job, which will take up most of the time, which means that it only leaves this to a couple hours a day and weekends. So I'm going to get as much done as possible before that. Pretty exciting, and thanks for watching as usual. Just tune in, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.